on Zoom because all of that's going to be uploaded.
Okay.
All of that's going to
Okay, whenever you're ready. Go ahead.
Okay. So
you were in Denver, same hotel room.
Oh, I'd heard that he was a womanizer, like I said, but nothing with teenagers or anything like that. So I was like, well, good. Hopefully he's found some woman here and he won't be in the room. So that was that first night. The second night, he didn't come. Like, I think I went to sleep probably, like I was trying to go to sleep early too. I think I went to sleep at probably about 10 o'clock. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night and he was at the foot of my bed, because we had 2 beds, but he was at the foot of my bed and he reached his arm or his hand inside of the underneath the comforter under the sheet and was like coming up my leg, and I'm frozen, like, he was like, just go with it. And I'm like, and so he proceeded to like put his finger inside my vagina and all of that, and he gave me oral that night, and I cried the whole time, but I was thinking, what can I do, you know? I'm in Denver, Colorado with nobody.
did he ever say, let's call your mother? You know, just when I say that, if an adult is taking a child somewhere, because if nothing else, there's hotel phones, something that you think the adult would just at least reach out to the parent or give the child an opportunity. So he never, from the moment you got there, so you never had any contact with your mother?
Yeah, I had contact with her, but by this time I was scared, because if I tell her something, how long is it going to take her to get here? You know, I'm a 17-year-old kid. I didn't even know, you know, what she could or would. I mean, I knew that if I told her, she would definitely protect me, but I felt like partially it was my fault, because Pia, if he came on to you, why would you come here? People are going to say, well, why would you go? I felt like I was to blame. It was my fault that I even went, because I could have said no, even though I kind of was hesitant about going. I should have just said no. If I came, then people are going to definitely, I didn't think, like one of the victims said, he told her people wouldn't believe her. I didn't think people wouldn't believe me. I just think they would blame me. I felt like they would say, well, why were you going in his office? Well, why, you know, if he came on to you in the beginning of August, why would you go in September to a convention? Well, I mean, I wanted to trust my pastor. I wanted to trust this person who I thought would eventually be my father-in-law. So all of that was plaguing my head. When he said that, I still was hoping. When he said that there is no other rooms, even though I said he set me up, I'm thinking, well, maybe there wasn't, like still trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but once it happened, then that's what I said to myself, like, well, Pia, why did you come? You should have known better, because for the most part, I was somewhat mature when it came to certain things. Like, I wasn't the type of person who was, I'm gullible in the sense of I'm a church girl that didn't know a lot about the streets, but I wasn't gullible in the sense of people could just get over on me so easily, men or boys or nothing like that. So I kind of felt like it was my fault in some way.
Right. So then, how many times did this happen in Colorado?
Oh, just once in Colorado.
Once in Colorado. So then you come back home. And then how did it still occur? What occurred from there?
Okay, so let's go back to his wife.
Okay. So
his wife, actually, she knew I had a crush on her for years.
Let's stop there for a minute. during this period, you're learning about your own sexuality. And you realize you're bisexual?
Pansexual now.
Pansexual? Okay. But you're pansexual. So, this is where now the wife comes in, but she wasn't his wife at the time?
No, she wasn't his wife.
Okay.
She was just a member of the church, but she actually, like I said, I did have a crush on her. Never him, but I did have a crush on her. So before...
Did you know they were dating? Were they dating?
No, I mean, no, they were. I mean, I found out later.
Later, but you didn't
But
know
I didn't know at the time.
time.
Right. So she knew it because sometimes when I would sit by her, I may touch her, like, not, you know how you may touch someone's finger. I was like touching her, like your finger may touch them or something like that. So I think she knew something like, oh, this little girl maybe had a crush on me or something like that. And so one day, this was while school was still in before we went on strike. So her situation happened before his. But that's
hers also. There was interaction with her first before.
Yes, he tried to use another female's name as but it was her. He didn't want to put his wife in it because it's his now wife. So he used someone else as, this is who I saw you being with.
But that hadn't occurred at the time. It
hadn't occurred at the time.
Okay.
Okay, so it was his wife who called me up to the, well, she wasn't his wife at the time, but she called me up to the church. And she was like, I know, like you've been looking at me and da-da-da-da, things like that. And so she lifted her shirt up. She didn't have a bra on. And so she was basically inviting me to come over to the seat, And so we did have an encounter in the church.
You were 17, and how old was she?
Approximately like 32 or something like that.
Okay.
And so she was, like I said, in the secretary's office. He was at the church, but I wasn't aware, like I said, I wasn't aware that they were an item. And it wasn't uncommon for her to be at the church. We didn't have, at the time, an on-staff secretary, but she did a lot of the secretarial work. So her coming up to the church, being in the secretarial office, wasn't uncommon. And he was in his office. He never came over, but I was a little nervous because I'm like, what if the pastor comes in here? But she was never afraid. So as I got older, I started saying, okay, this was all a part of the plan, because immediately after that, that's when he asked me to go out of town. He had already come on to me, but I believe that he knew that I liked her, and he used her as bait, because when you said after I came back from Colorado, he would use things like, I know, that's when he told me he knew about me and her. But he used God as a way, like, I know that you and his now wife, I know you all are messing around. And I immediately got scared. This was before I went. No, this was after I came back. So he said, I know that you all are messing around. And I'm like, oh my God.
Were you asking yourself, how did he know that?
Yes, but he used, God has shown me that this is going on and all of this. And I'm thinking he's going to say, as my pastor, now this is wrong because it's two women, first of all, and then two females, but not only that, she is an adult. Now I know what he did with me in Colorado, but I still thought he, as the pastor, was going to say something negatively about that. But he was like, if you want to, I can show you. Basically, he was trying to let me know how I can continue, because she had said after that first encounter, she felt a way, like she felt like something ain't right, this ain't right, we shouldn't be doing this.
And then let's go back then, how did,
because once he told me he knew about it, I was telling him, well, it's not happening anymore, because, she, and I was the type of person, because it wasn't just a kid, but I was the type of person that, hey, if you say God told you not to do this, then I'm going to go, because I don't want to be whipped by God. So I'm 17, but I'm still feeling like, okay, she said no, let's go with that. Once he told me he knew, I said, no, it's not going on anymore. He said, well, do you want it to? And I'm thinking, what? You know, like I'm expecting him to say, good, it shouldn't be, this is not right. I was gonna tell your mom, and I would have been thinking,
So
well, you gonna tell him?
Opposite reaction.
I can show you how to get her back in the situation where she'll feel comfortable doing it again. And
what did you even begin to think when you heard that from him?
I was shocked again, like, wow. Like, I mean, all of this unfolding is letting me know he's not who I thought he was. So, because I'm expecting, like I said, your pastor to say, this is wrong, even though he was doing wrong, with me. It was only that one time, but I still felt like he was supposed to say that, but he didn't. And so, like, he said, say this, say that, and I did all of that.
To her?
Yes.
So
and then
he instructed you
on what
to say these things
to her.
Okay.
And he didn't say definitively, like she'll definitely, but he was like, this is what you do. You say this, you say that, you say this. And so I'm like, okay. So I tried it and it worked. So I'm like, wow, this worked. I went back. He was like, I told you. He was like, like basically, I'm gonna tell you what to do for men and women. So I'm like, okay. Now I'm in it and I'm feeling just as guilty because now I'm having relations with this woman.
And at that point, are you still under what they tell you, what they biblically try to say about homosexuality? Is that in your mind?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It is torture to me to have these feelings, but know that I'm not supposed to. But then the person who's my shepherd is telling me it's okay. He made me start feeling okay about it, because at first I'm like, this ain't right. And like I said, she was even saying she didn't want to do it. But after a while, it just became like nothing. He would give me alcohol to drink, to like just to not. I would just.
The pastor would give you alcohol to drink. Okay. And then when did the